to another on the Patio. I'm Dean, and today I have a very special guest, live from Los Angeles, a man that has many missions going for him, but my mission today is to let him talk and commiserate on what he's about, what him and what's on his plate, the near and far future. So, with any further ado, I'd like to introduce Mr. Vahe Berberian, please. Vahe, thank you very much for joining us today. It's a pleasure to have you.
My pleasure.
Vahe, so we understand you're an actor, you're a playwright, you're an activist, you're a comedian. You have a lot to say, a lot to share, a lot to inspire people with. But before that became your focal point of being an artist as well, and something that you aspire and inspire many people with. Please, if you don't mind, tell us what inspires you. What drives Vahe? Where did you come from? I know we have some similar background with our families coming from Armenia and so forth, but tell us what drives Vahe. What makes your wheels turn?
Honestly, Dean, I don't know what drives me because I don't know how to do anything else. They asked Fellini once, why do you make movies? And Fellini's answer was, it's like asking a chicken, why does it lay eggs?
It just does.
Yeah, it is what you do. I honestly think if I wasn't an artist, if I was creating constantly, I would have loved to be a gardener. But art is all I know. I grew up in a family where my father was a draftsman and he was a bibliophile. He loved books. I grew up in a household where there were thousands of books. I mean, we literally under the beds, over the beds, on the dining table, everywhere, in the bathroom. And so I grew up with books, and our house was full of people. Artists would come, go. My mom would get involved in the conversation as she was washing the dishes from the kitchen. And it was a lively household, and I grew up in that environment, and I grew up loving books, loving art, and so yeah, that's where it all started.
That's a great legacy, Vahe. That's probably one reason why you have so much to say, because you're very well read, and I think you have a platform of standing for something. And I know our culture, us both being Armenian and having a lot of pride for our culture and our ancestry, and the youth for the future. I see you projecting that into your work. You weave that into your livelihood, and I'm very grateful for that. And we've spoken about our language and not being able to use it because of the generations and relatives, but I'm very grateful that this opportunity to speak from one generation to the next, and continue the legacy of what we're about. Not that it's a cultural conversation here, but it does have a focal point for you because you're very proud of your ancestry.
Of course, it makes you who you are. I mean, I am what I am because of the culture that I come from. And I shouldn't just say culture, I should say cultures, because I was exposed to very, very different cultures from very early on. So imagine, like, I'm Armenian, 100%, but I was born in Beirut, And so there's that Middle Eastern Arabic culture that I was exposed to. But as I was growing up, I was listening to Emerson, Lake and Palmer, Pink Floyd, Genesis, and all the classic rock that I was exposed to. I was reading Kurt Vonnegut. I was reading Jean-Paul Sartre. I was reading Marx. So there was the whole counterculture that I was exposed to. And then at 17, I left home. I lived in Europe. I was a hippie, traveling from city to city, living in communes. There's another, like a slew of cultures that I was exposed to, because I was living in a commune where we had Dutch people, we had English, we had Americans, from all over. And
Sure.
and then I lived in, and then I went back. The war started in Beirut. I left again after 2 years. Lived in Cyprus for a few months. Then ended up in Canada for a year in Toronto, and then here. So you can imagine, it's. I think when Borges says, "I am the sum amount of all the books that I have read," and to paraphrase that, I can say that I am the sum amount of all the countries that I've lived in, all the women that I have slept with, all the books that I have read, and all the music that I have listened to. So yeah.
That's quite a legacy. That's quite a legacy, Vahe. So with your travels, you're part of your ancestry, you're part of your cultures, and your art. Where do you go from here? What's the next chapter to arrive for the next chapter in your life?
Well, I'm trying. Dean, I've been traveling for such a long time. I've been touring for 20 years. The last 20 years have been grueling as far as tours go, And I've spent almost 6-7 months out of the year out of LA. It's funny because I live in LA because I love the weather, but I spend most of my time outside, and ironically, a lot of the times when for example, I'm in Australia or Argentina in summer here when it's winter there. So sometimes I live an entire year of winter, So I'm trying to cut down on my travels. I'm not sure if I will be able to, but at the same time, I've been heavily spending a lot of time in my studio painting, and I'm getting ready for an exhibition for next year. And I have seriously missed just being in my studio and painting. I just finished my new novel, and I'm hoping that it will come out. It will be probably published early next year or end of this year. I am also writing a play. I have a script that's being shopped around. I don't know what's going to happen because with scripts, it's always the financing is not easy.
Sure.
All these things. We'll see.
Vahe, what is the 2018 or early 2019 to be a wide release? And what's the format that people can obtain the novel?
The novel, well, I'm hoping that as like my recent the novel that was published a couple of years ago, In the Name of the Father and the Son, that one is on Amazon. It's everywhere. You can find it. both in digital format and hard copy. And I'm hoping that this one too will be. So sorry. Let me.
It's all right.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that this one also will be. Well, I love books and I love that hard copy, and yeah, I'm hoping that it will be published, as I said, early next year. And so, yeah, maybe I'll come to Fresno and have a book signing event.
Well, I don't think that goes without saying that we would love to have you. I know that there might be one or two locations of a cigar shop that you and I would have to visit
Oh,
and
would
have
love
a
to.
have a cigar, a little Armenian coffee, and for you
Yeah.
Turkish friends out there, we can say Turkish coffee. Um,
Actually, it is Armenian coffee
it is.
technically. No,
It
no,
is.
honestly, and I'm not saying this for nationalistic reasons, because I was very recently reading an article that coffee was introduced to Europe by Armenian merchants who came from the Ottoman
Yes,
Empire, and that's why it was
that's
called
right.
Turkish
That's
coffee.
right.
And
That's right.
actually, the first coffee shop that opened in Paris was
Those
opened
are
by Armenians.
Armenians. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It just goes back to our families. I think you had mentioned part of your family was from Carpet. My
Yes.
grandfather came from Carpet,
Mhm.
and the memories of having Armenian coffee and one of two aunts that would be present at my grandparents' home to read the Demitasse cups. That was like Christmas and Easter and probably three other holidays wrapped into one when those cups were revealed, you know.
I still do that. I ask people to read my cup.
I
And
love it.
not because I believe in it, but I love to keep that rich ritual, and it's a beautiful thing because it 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 shows you what kind of vibes the other person is getting
Right,
from,
right.
you know.
All the conversations and the laughter and just the interpretation and you get a group of people and it's a that's a entertainment value that doesn't have a price tag on it when you start reading cups.
Uh,
But no, we
yeah.
would love to have you. We would love to support you. I know you support a lot of causes. I know you do a lot, and I know you have a lot of music in your veins. I know you have a lot of solid foundations of what you do, and it's not because you want to be famous or financially wealthy to the hilt. I think you do it because you have a passion and a love, and you obviously love people, and you obviously love yourself, and that shows because you have a great outlook and
Thank
a
you.
kind heart. And we
You know,
appreciate that.
I think it's um, about 22 years ago, I had cancer, and I almost died. And as I was going through that experience, I realized that up until then, I was so driven because I was painting, writing, and directing, doing so many things all at the same time, driving myself crazy because it was like, there's not enough time to do all these things. And then cancer hit, and my brush with death taught me one thing. If I can make a difference in someone's life by just who I am, you know, I would rather spend a few hours with this person than write 3 pages. You know what I mean? Because in the final analysis, art doesn't change anything. Some of the most evil people on earth have been art lovers, or artists. Um, but it's who you are and that's what it is. I think one of my favorite quotes from Oscar Wilde. He said, "I have put my into my life. All I have put in my art is my talent." I have put my genius into my life. All I have put in my art is my talent, and I truly, sincerely, honestly hope that I am doing that. I don't know if I have any genius as far as that concerns, but whatever I have, I put it in my life, but by creating myself more than anything else.
It shows because your personality and what you do and how you project yourself with transparency. And I think that's admirable that you have that ability to do that. Not from a standpoint that you're trying to achieve a platform, but you're achieving just being a kind human being that has a lot of talent, on and off the stage, on or in and out of the studio, and that's a admirable trait. Besides having the wonderful
Thank
ancestry that we share as well, Vahe, in closing this morning, could you please tell us how folks that are watching and listening and viewing this interview, how they can find you online? What's your web presence and your social media presence, please?
Well, they can visit my website, which is vaheberberian.com.
Okay.
I also have a Facebook page, as everybody else does, and it's a public page, but you can very easily leave me a message, and even though I can't like anybody's page, it doesn't allow me to, but I will answer any messages that I get via Facebook. I also have Vahe Berberian, the Instagram page. Actually, two Instagram pages. One of them is just Vahe Berberian, and the other one is Vahe Berberian Art, which I recently started, and I'm enjoying that because it's like, yeah, that's where you see all of my artwork.
Okay.
So.
Well, wonderful. We look forward to the new novel. We absolutely will shed the light, if you will, on your endeavors, and we greatly appreciate your candidness, your personal window of what you've dealt with. I was not aware of that situation, and that is very admirable that you took a negative situation and turned it into a challenge and a fight to prosper and to be stronger.
Thank you, Dean. Thank you. I really, really appreciate it. And it's a pleasure talking to you. Seriously. We'll do the cigar thing, We'll smoke an avo. How about that?
We'll have an avo. We'll
Yes.
have an Avo Uvasian, who was also a very well-known musician who's been to Fresno many times, who passed last year. But no, in his honor and your honor, we'll definitely have an Avo, and we'll definitely celebrate the new novel. Really appreciate your time. I'm glad that you're at home enjoying the beauty and surroundings.
Thank you, brother.
Many thanks, Vahe.
Bye-bye.
Officially.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.